Master web development with Skill Bakery. Hey everyone, ready to level up your web dev skills? Introducing skillbakery.com premium courses starting at just $6 or 500 rupees. Sign up today and learn in-demand skill sets. Unlock your potential today at skillbakery.com.
Hello and welcome to another exciting video. In this one, we'll be exploring JavaScript functions and WebAssembly. We'll be understanding how JavaScript functions are created, and we'll also see how we can pass JavaScript functions to WebAssembly, how we can invoke JavaScript functions from Rust, how we can invoke JavaScript functions from Rust, and what are the benefits of using WebAssembly. So let's get started. First, understanding JavaScript functions. We define a JavaScript function, and then we compile the JavaScript function to WebAssembly. We pass the JavaScript function to WebAssembly and invoke the JavaScript functions from Rust. Now, in order to pass JavaScript functions to WebAssembly, the first thing is defining the JavaScript functions, compiling to WebAssembly, importing into Rust, invoking from Rust, and then testing the integration. On the Rust side, when we need to invoke JavaScript functions, we pass JavaScript function to WebAssembly, import JavaScript function in Rust, and we invoke JavaScript function from Rust, and then we execute the JavaScript logic in a Rust environment. Now, the benefits of using WebAssembly is that we get improved performance, cross-platform compatibility, enhanced security, interoperability, and scalability. So to give you an example over here, what we'll do is in our Visual Studio Code, you can see that I've created a div with an ID JS output. So earlier, this div was used to show the output from the Rust. That is the greet method that we explored in the previous lecture. Now in this one, what we'll do is we'll create a function first in JavaScript, and then we will import that function in Rust, and then we will invoke that function. So here you can see that I've already written one line over here, invoke JS function. So what we need to do is, first of all, let's go ahead and create a function in JavaScript. And that is, we will be doing inside this run module. So after the await init, what we'll do is we'll create a function. Let's use the window.js underscore function. And here we'll say the function is going to take an input. So we'll provide that input over here. And inside this, we'll be returning, let's call it as hello from JavaScript. Now, once that's done, we will be printing the input as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we have the input, and let's close it now and terminate it using the semicolon. So this is the function that we have in our JavaScript, and this is the function that we want to call from Rust. So now that we have this function, let's head over to our Wasm project that we created, and inside this we have our lib.rs file. Now here we'll be doing two things. The first is we'll be declaring the JavaScript function that we want to use, and for that we'll be making use of the Wasm attribute, and then we'll make use of the extern keyword. So this is basically telling Rust that these functions are defined externally. And over here, let's go ahead and call the function that we have created in our index.html, that's JS function. So here we'll go ahead and say function, JS function, and the signature of this is that it expects one input of type string. So here we'll provide that, and the output of this is going to be a string. So that is the signature, and that's what we have imported over here. Now the next thing is we need to invoke it. So over here you can notice that I created this invoke JS function, and we are importing it from the Wasm project. So here let's go ahead and do that. So over here again I'll be making use of the Wasm gem first of all. So let's do that. And then I'll be creating a public function. And this public function, as I mentioned, has this name, invoke.js. And this again takes a parameter name of type string. And this is going to output a string. So this is a function which will be invoked. And internally, this is going to call this JS function from JavaScript. So over here, let me go ahead and say let result is equal to, and then the function that we have declared over here, JS function, and the parameter is the name over here. So that's what we are passing. And finally, we'll say format, and we'll over here add some text source like JavaScript says, and then we will have the placeholder and then the result over here. So we are done now with our lib.rs file. But before going ahead and compiling, let's understand a couple of things like the bindgen and the external C keyword that we have used over here. So the bindgen attribute, its purpose is to provide interaction between Rust and JavaScript. And it tells Rust to generate the necessary WebAssembly bindings to expose the annotated code to JavaScript or allow Rust to interact with JavaScript functions. Then we have this external C block. Now, this block declares functions that are defined outside Rust. Now, in our case, this is defined in JavaScript. What it does is it refers to the calling convention, which is a standard way for different programming languages to call functions. It's used here to maintain a consistent way of calling between Rust and JavaScript. Now, Rust assumes that these functions are defined externally, now in this case, as I mentioned earlier, within JavaScript, and will link to them when called. So here, the next step that we need to take is compile this. To compile, we first of all need to make sure that we are inside the Wasm project directory. And once we are there, we need to call the Wasm build pack and target the web environment. So here, we are calling this command Wasm pack build, then -- target web. So this is going to start the compilation. And here we have the syntax error. Let's go ahead and build it again. That's done. So once the Wasm project is done, the next thing is we will go over here in our index.html file. And what we can do is we have already referred over here everything. Here we need to call this Invoke.js function now so that it can internally call the JS function from Rust and give us the output. To do that, we'll simply go here and let's say const, and over here we'll say result is equal to, and then we say Invoke.js function. So this is what we have. So let's copy and paste it over here. And then we'll have some text entered over here, invoke from Rust. And that's pretty much it. Let's save this and copy this line over here and change the ID from output to JS output. Let's have the result over here, and that's gone. So here, let's go ahead and click on this go live so that we get the HTML loaded. And here, if you see, we are getting two things. Hello world is obviously coming from the previous lecture method that we created, greet. And here you notice it says JavaScript says hello from JavaScript and then invoke from Rust. So if you notice this over here, it makes expand over here. What we are doing is in this JS function, it says hello from JavaScript, and then we have the input. That is what it says over here, hello from JavaScript. And then the input that we provided was invoke from Rust. But from where we are getting this JavaScript says, if you go back to lib.rs file, and this is the function that is getting called Invoke.js function, which internally called JS function. So the output is JavaScript says, and then the output of the JS function, which is hello from JavaScript, and then this parameter that we provided, invoke from Rust. So you can see that how easy and convenient it is to call a JavaScript function from Rust or invoke it from Rust. If you find the video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.